Welcome to the Rensselaer County Regional Chamber of Commerce Connect with Careers Week, Spring 2022. I'm Kate Manley, President of the Chamber, and your host for this virtual career exploration video series. Thank you to our Spring 2022 sponsors, Martin Electric, Mosaic Associates Architects, and WB Games New York. Today, we're pleased to be joined by Brian Sano, the Director of Gas Operations at National Grid. Welcome, Brian.
Hello.
So it's great to have you here with us. So first, as we get started, can you tell me a little bit about National Grid?
Sure. National Grid is one of the world's largest publicly listed utilities focused on transmission and distribution of electricity and gas. Here in the United States, we provide New York, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts gas and electric for homes and businesses.
Great. So tell me what you do on a daily basis as the Director of Gas Operations.
Sure. As the Director of Gas Operations, I lead a team of several hundred, front line resources. These groups are split up into three subgroups. Actually, there's the customer meter service team. They actually do electric and gas metering work at homes and businesses. They're also our first responders for gas leaks, electric outages, down wires, and stuff like that. One of the other teams is our gas field operations team. They're the big trucks that you see out in the street, replacing and working on our gas mains that make up our gas distribution system. And then there's a construction group, which is our contractor oversight team. And we have several different contractor companies that do our leak-prone pipe main replacement work mainly, where piping that's been in the ground, cast iron pipes that have been in the ground for almost 100 years, some more than that, are now being replaced with new plastic pipe for a more reliable system.
So you talked about metering work. Could you explain to our students what that might entail?
Sure. So, I mean, it's everything from, a customer calling to say that they want gas or electric at their home or at their business. It's turning those meters on and off, reading meters on a monthly basis so customers have an accurate bill. There's a collections group for going out and working with customers on bill payments. And then that same group, like I said, they are our first responders. So if you have, if you smell gas at your home or business, you'd call and they'd come to investigate. Or if your lights are dim and flickering, or if you don't have power or a storm comes through and a wire goes down, they're the first responder that assesses the situation, and they see what larger crews are going to be needed to come and restore your service.
That's great. So what did your personal pathway look like? How did you get to where you were from maybe middle school, high school student to now? What was that path like?
Okay. So when I was in high school, I was always one of these students that gravitated more towards the hands-on classes. I like to get my hands dirty. I like to work with my hands, and to be honest, I wasn't the greatest student with your traditional classes. So you could always find me working in with metals, electricity, basic electricity, wood shop, all those types of classes. So after graduating from high school, I naturally gravitated towards trade schools, and I never at that time I never saw myself working in an office. So I went to the electrical construction and maintenance program at Hudson Valley, and got a degree there. And at that point in time, we were Niagara Mohawk here. National Grid was Niagara Mohawk, and I entered into this business through the union. I was a member of Local 97. Started out as a meter reader, and then I later worked my way into a service representative job in the customer meter service group. And after about 7 years of working in the field, turning wrenches and doing that frontline work, I decided I'd like to take on a leadership role. And that's when I joined the management team as a supervisor. And over the last 12 years, I've worked my way up from supervisor to manager to director, and then director of cross-functional team.
Great. So you talked a little bit, you alluded to some of the skills that you use, more technical skills, but on a daily basis, what skills do you use maybe in this part of your job, or even like as you came up in your career path?
Sure. I guess one of the things, these are just, some, in the leadership space, I tend to lean on delegation. And delegation is important because, and I learned this early on, it's easy to get into this space where you think that you can take the world on your shoulders. But as your responsibilities get bigger, as there's more and more, things coming your way, the weight of the world on your shoulders can crush you. So in the delegation space, it's important that you trust your team or you trust your teammates, knowing that, it's just like sports, really, very, very rarely does a team in any sport, can they be successful without the entire team putting in, doing their part. And that's one of the things that I learned here in the leadership roles is, depending on my team and trusting that they can deliver. One of the other things that, is confidence, and I learned this in every role that I've held. When you actually walk into a room with confidence, you have the ability to set the tone in the room, and inspire others to feel like the situation is right, especially in the business that we're in, where storms roll in or emergency situations occur. And if everyone's heads aren't in the game, or if there's no confidence there, things can go south real quick. So, delegation and confidence. Another thing is empathy. With several hundred team members, it's easy to lose sight of the fact that everyone's got their own challenges going on in their lives, and empathy is really important because you may not experience something in your life, but you need to take into consideration the challenges that someone else may have, and helping them get through certain challenges that they have in their career or their life can only help. And then I guess the last one I'd say, when it comes to a leadership skill, would be not being afraid to be wrong. You really have to check your ego at the door. No one expects you to have all the answers. Yeah. And sometimes you feel like you're supposed to have all the answers when you go into a job or you into a certain role. And the sooner that you realize that it's okay to be wrong sometimes, or it's okay to say that you don't have the answer, and to ask someone else for help or ask someone else for their ideas on it, the further you'll go.
Absolutely. Those are great answers. So what types of career pathways exist in either your industry or in National Grid overall? And what do some of those pathways look like?
Okay. Yeah. At National Grid, there's so many opportunities because we have our hands in so many different things, whether you're on the electric side of the business or the gas side of the business, or you have a hybrid role like I talked about with the metering group, where they kind of work with electricity and gas all day. There's plenty of different opportunities here. I guess I could break it down into a few different groups. There's the frontline team, and they're out there each and every day. They get their hands dirty. They're working with the public and our customers face to face. You could go that route and be a part of the local 97 IBEW union represented workforce here. There's those types of roles. There's individual contributor roles. There are groups where these folks, for the most part, act as a support group for the core business of electricity and gas, and helping to get things done behind the scenes. You have management roles. Some of these management roles, they're supervisors and managers and our hierarchy as you go up the chain. But some of those jobs are oversight of the work that's being done. So you lead and you inspire team members on our front line to do the right thing and find different ways of working and delivering for our customers. So there's plenty of different paths that folks can take depending on what areas of the business they actually are interested in.
So if a student were interested in getting involved in gas or electric, what would you recommend that they do after high school? What's the next steps?
Well, there's plenty of different programs out there that you can explore. Different colleges. Different places like educational opportunity centers, BOCES. These are all groups that we've actually partnered with to look for different candidates that come into the business. There's folks who've gone on to major colleges, become engineers. A lot of our leaders here at National Grid are engineers. You can really explore, just depending on what direction you want to go. If you want a job where you're hands-on, working on the front line every day, there's a trade school option where you really, start to understand the technical aspect of the work that we do. And then there's the other end of that, where there's a lot of our senior leaders who are engineers, and they go on to colleges like RPI and Clarkson and achieve great things there, and come in to our business and use the skills that they've learned there to help drive our business in a certain direction.
That's great. And I think it's so impressive to see how many people are behind the scenes to help us, if we want to turn a light on or turn our heat on. It's something that students or individuals might take for granted, but there's so many people working hard behind the scenes to get this done. And there's so many pathways that are not just jobs, but they're careers too. So that's really exciting. As we look about the future of work and where work is going, what do you think students need to keep in mind as they prepare some skills for the future?
I think it's important to acknowledge that we live in a world that is ever changing, and blink and you miss it, right? There's the clean energy future is upon us, and there's a plan to try and get to a certain place by 2030, by 2050. So there's certainly within our business a lot of changes that we have on the road ahead. As we try and transition our gas business to cleaner and greener, and as we try to transition our electric business to be able to absorb the impact of going cleaner and greener. I think the skills that our team uses today are incredibly transferable. We talk about folks in our front line. If they're a specialist in heavy equipment operation. Heavy equipment operation will be very similar whether you're putting gas pipe in the ground or you're putting pipe in the ground for electric wires to run through. So they're very transferable skills on the front line. In leadership, in the leadership space, some of the things that I touched on a little while ago, the ability to solve a problem in a creative way. The environment of continuous improvement, understanding that how certain processes work, and your ability to really put any topic into that formula and drive process improvements. It's all very transferable, and that's if someone's looking ahead to say what's the future hold and how should I think about this, just understand that things change fast. And more often than not, there's a way to connect the dots between what you may be learning today or what you may be doing today and how that plays into, tomorrow's space.
That's excellent. So how would you, as Brian Sano, define success?
Well, I guess there's a couple different ways. From a professional standpoint, success for me is setting realistic goals and then achieving them. Success is landing a job or a role that you actually have a passion for. For me, working in this business in gas and electric, there's no bigger thrill than being able to help a customer when things go wrong with Mother Nature. A big storm comes through and we've got a ton of people without power. Knowing that myself and my team plays a role in getting people restored is it's something that I take pride in. on the coldest days of the year, if there's something that goes wrong or with our gas network, or if someone is out there and they happen to accidentally damage our system, knowing that we play a role in getting people restored and getting their heat back on in a timely fashion. That's something that I have a passion for. I think, third, from a professional standpoint, would be, failing at something, success being failing at something, and then not letting that stop you and actually learning from it. I can tell you that I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. And along the way, I failed at several things, but I didn't let it stop me. I assessed it and I learned from it and I moved on. From a personal standpoint, success is being able to provide for my family, and being in a position where I can give back or to the community or give a hand to those who need it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So before we go, one last piece of advice for our students. You gave a lot of great tips over this time together, but one last piece of advice for our students.
Sure. This is actually something that I write in a letter to a lot of the team members who are going through our progression schools. So within National Grid, we have a learning and development group, and a lot of our employees are constantly going through training. And there's progression training, which is the core of what job tasks they need to do in their day-to-day life here at National Grid. And then there's annual expert training, which is once a year, getting back into the classroom, getting back into the lab, and really learning about anything new or refreshing on the stuff that they do. The letter that I write, the note that I write in the letter when people graduate from their progression schools is a reminder that school is never over. As much as some of us want school to be over, school is never over. It's important to continue to learn, have a passion for the trade that you're in, have a passion for the job that you're in, and always try to better yourself. Always try to be in tune with the newest, latest thing in the space that you're working in. And this goes for everybody on our front line, but also in leadership roles. There's still training that I go to better understand how I'm operating as a leader, and different skills that I try to hone to be a better leader. So never stop learning. That's my
never stop learning. Exactly. That's terrific. That's right on. Well, thank you so much, Brian Sano from National Grid, the Director of Gas and Operations. And thank you to our sponsors for the 2022 edition, our spring edition, Martin Electric, Mosaic Associate Architects, and WB Games New York. We'll see you next time.